My son Luke has really been getting into waterfowl hunting lately and unfortunately has to have surgery on his upper arm due to an abnormal bone growth that needs to be cut out. That being said, once that happens, he won't be able to shoot any guns for the next 3 months. Because of that, I took him out for his last hurrah of hunting for the year.
Well, this is my last time that I'll be able to waterfowl hunt or even shoot a gun for 3 months before I have shoulder surgery, so let's hope we get into some.
We met up with Jacob Newman well before first light so we could be all set up for some duck hunting when the shooting time began. With the cold temperatures, there was a thin layer of ice that had to be broken up for the decoys. We threw a dozen decoys on the right and a dozen on the left, leaving open water in between them, hoping to entice any ducks into the middle and right in range of our sights. I brought my yellow lab Allie along who loves to hunt. Before we owned her, she had her vocal cords removed, which unfortunately left some scar tissue behind that means she's very loud when breathing, especially when excited. Aside from that, her love for the water, and especially retrieving, assured her a place on this hunt. As luck would have it, we had one group of teal come right into our spread and land in the decoys, but we hadn't loaded our guns yet, or even had the camera out for that matter. Of course, we made sure to be ready for the next ducks, but as good as the morning started out, only a few groups of ducks flew high over us. To put it plainly, waterfowl hunting was a bust. We waited a couple hours for it to pick up, but it never did. Figuring we better cut our losses, we pulled our decoys and headed off for part 2 of today's hunt. Well, the duck hunting was just a bust. You know, we got out there, woke up early, hiked out for quite a bit in the dark to get in this perfect spot. We had ducks coming into our decoys right at first light, and then by the time we were all ready, nothing really came in. We had a few that buzzed us, and that was it. So the duck hunting was definitely a complete bust. We're gonna have to head off and look for a new adventure that we can take Luke on. Well, I put Allie away, and Jacob brought out his German Shorthair Tess that he's been working with for upland birds. As expected, she was excited to do some hunting and find some birds. We were trying some of the fields at the Deer Park's WMA. I know there's plenty of wild pheasants that live in the area, and so we let Tess lead and headed out. Well, we had good hopes and covered a lot of good pheasant habitat, but didn't even find anything to get Tess birdie. So once again, we realized we better cut our losses and change locations. We still had one area as a backup that had really good potential for lots of pheasants, and we were heading there next, the Market Lake WMA, where they stock pheasants every week.
Well, duck hunting this morning didn't work out, so we've shifted gears and come down here to the Market Lake WMA to try out some pheasant hunting.
As Luke said, we headed over to the Market Lake WMA, and more specifically, the youth-only section. This meant that both Jacob and I had to leave our guns in the truck while we let Luke focus on getting some action. The youth section in the area is just north of the Market Lake WMA headquarters. There are several fields that have all been planted with different kinds of crops, plants, and grains that are not only good for pheasants, but specifically for migrating waterfowl. Of course, deer, moose, and elk find their way onto the WMA as well, with some living there year-round. For example, this white-tailed doe jumped up right out of nowhere in the grass ahead of us and bounded off. There are 9 WMAs in Idaho where pheasants are planted every week and many times twice a week during the pheasant season. Anyone 17 or older must have a special WMA pheasant permit that allows them to take up to 6 pheasants, but only 2 a day. After following Tess through one field without having any luck, we spotted a rooster hiding along a grass outcropping. We headed off in that direction, but with the field being cut short and the rooster visible from quite a ways off, Tess headed off on a beeline for the bird. Being caught without any cover to hide in, the rooster did all it could do, which was to take flight. Luckily, it did fly in a direction that brought it closer to Luke, and he pulled the trigger. As you can see, it made a clean getaway. We'd have to look for another bird.
Well, the dog scared it up and we missed it, so hopefully we get into some more.
Well, sometimes planted birds just run. In this case, we were finding they were easily spooked and were actually flying off before even Tess could get close, as was the case with this rooster. When Tess got birdie and went on point, Luke got ready, but it must have been just a place a rooster had been, because nothing was there. Knowing a bird must have been in there recently, we kept pushing forward with Luke at the ready, and sure enough, another rooster took flight. Luke was close, but a little behind, as all he got were a few tail feathers.
Oh, I hit it.
Understandably, Luke was getting frustrated. Hopefully we could get him on a few more. Luckily, we did find another rooster, and this one tried to hide by just staying put and flattening to the ground. Of course, it didn't work, and so with the help of Tess, we got the bird up and Luke took aim.
There you go. Lift it up, Tess. Bring it here.
Well, this is my last time out doing any shooting for 3 months because I have to have shoulder surgery, and I got a pheasant to remember it, so let's hope we can get into some more and hopefully limit out.
This really was a nice rooster. It was a large bird with long tail feathers. There were still several fields that we hadn't touched, so we were fairly confident we could get Luke on one more. Sure enough, it didn't take long and Tess had another rooster found, but this one was hiding in the tall weeds in a ditch.
Oh, you got him.
Even Luke was surprised at getting this one, as it was a little longer shot than he'd hoped for. That was 2 in a row. Even Tess couldn't complain about that.
Good girl, Tess. Good girl.
Well, this is my second one out here on the Market Lake WMA, and I've limited it out now, and so I've got a good memory to remember this day.
As lousy as the day had started with our cold waterfowl hunt, the day ended pretty good. A young man with his limit of pheasants. A pretty good day if you ask me. Well, as you can see, we came out here, we had a good time. You know, Luke missed a couple there at the beginning, and then he drilled the next 2, so he just kind of had to get warmed up. But, you know, we came out here and had a great time, just trying to show Luke, you know, a fun time before he has to go get his shoulder worked on, and he has to put the gun away for the season. So the duck hunting this morning, complete disaster. You know, just didn't work out. That's, of course, how hunting goes. So we shifted gears, came over here, and man, it just really turned around for us. So, you know, by now the pheasant hunting in this area is pretty well wrapped up. So just remember, next year, if you want to get your kids out there doing some pheasant hunting, the WMAs are probably one of the best places that you can do, especially obviously the ones where they stock pheasants. So anyways, put it on your calendar for next year. You know, get your kids out and get some hunting in, and until then, enjoy the outdoors.